In a Manhattan apartment, Elias, a young designer, has been bothered by one tiny thing lately, that vintage brass birdcage hanging by his front door. It was a housewarming gift from a friend last month. He originally planned to use it as decor, but trouble started piling up right after. Clients who came over would automatically ask, "Where's your bird?" The delivery guy would peek in and say, "That cage is empty. You need help getting rid of it." Even the barista downstairs remembered him as the guy with the birdcage at home. 3 weeks later, Elias ended up buying a pair of canaries at a pet store. It wasn't until later that he realized he doesn't even like keeping birds, but he'd voluntarily walked into an invisible trap just to match that cage. This is the famous birdcage effect in psychology, a seemingly absurd phenomenon that weaves through daily life, quietly shaping our choices. The origin of the birdcage effect goes back to the late 1800s in the US. Psychologist William James made a bet with physicist Carlson. "I bet I can get you to keep a bird soon enough." Carlson scoffed at the idea, that is, until James gave him a fancy empty birdcage. After that, every time guests came over, they'd ask curiously about where the cage came from and where the bird was. Carlson kept explaining, "It's just a gift," but all he got was confused stares. Eventually, he got so tired of it that he actually bought a bird, not because he wanted one, but to make the birdcage itself feel reasonable. James used this experiment to prove humans have a strong need for cognitive consistency. When an object, like a birdcage, becomes a visual focal point, we unconsciously add other things, like a bird, to fill the gap in our thinking, making our environment and behavior line up logically. At its core, the birdcage effect is driven by two things: cognitive anchoring and social pressure. On one hand, an empty birdcage acts as an anchor. It locks in the fixed connection of cage-bird in our minds. That connection comes from mental habits built over years of life. It's like seeing an umbrella makes you think of rain, or a baby bottle makes you think of a baby. Birdcages are naturally tied to keeping birds. This subconscious link keeps making the missing bird feel wrong, like something's off. On the other hand, unspoken expectations in social situations make that off feeling worse. In Western culture, using things properly is a common social norm. When people keep noticing the empty cage, they're actually sending a hidden message: you should make this useful. That message turns into psychological pressure, pushing you to change your behavior, buy a bird, to gain others' approval, and avoid being the weird one who breaks the norm. In the world of consumerism, the birdcage effect has long been a hidden weapon for businesses to control demand, and in Western countries' mature commercial systems, its use is basically a masterclass. IKEA's display strategy in Western markets is a perfect example. Walk into an IKEA kitchen section, and next to the built-in ovens, you'll always find matching baking trays, oven mitts, and baking molds. On the marble countertops, there's a neat line of tableware and napkins in the same color. These matching sets are basically birdcages set by the store. When a customer gets drawn to the overall look and buys the oven, the cage, they'll automatically think an oven without baking trays isn't complete and end up buying the matching stuff on their own. Data shows that IKEA's scene-based displays can boost customers' extra spending by over 30%. That's the birdcage effect working perfectly in business. In the workplace, the birdcage effect also quietly shapes how we work and our career choices. Tech companies in Silicon Valley know this trick well. Google, Meta, and others give employees high-end ergonomic chairs, 4K monitors, custom desks. Some even put gyms or meditation rooms in the office. These fancy workspaces are the birdcages companies set for their staff. Psychologically speaking, when employees work in an environment way better than the industry average, they get a mental nudge: I need to be good enough for this setup. It's like an empty cage needing a bird. Nice office perks need high productivity to match them. That nudge turns into internal motivation, making employees more willing to dive into work and less likely to quit. Surveys show that in Silicon Valley companies with top-tier office gear, employee engagement is 25% higher than the industry average, and turnover rates are 18% lower. The birdcage effect is the hidden force behind that. In social life, the birdcage effect often shows up as gift-giving etiquette, acting as an invisible glue for relationships. The popular white elephant party in the West is a classic case. Everyone brings a gift that's sort of useful but mostly silly, like a mug with a weird print or a kitchen gadget with way too many functions. When you get a gift like that, it becomes a social birdcage. You won't throw it away easily because it carries your friend's thoughtfulness. More importantly, the next time you go to their party, you'll automatically bring a gift of similar value to give back, just to keep the gift exchange balance in your friendship. This cycle of get a gift, give a gift back is basically the birdcage effect in social life. The gift is the cage, pushing you to fill the social obligation gap with a return gift, keeping your relationship stable. But the birdcage effect isn't just a psychological trap, it can also be a tool to make our lives better. The key is whether you can take control of setting the birdcage yourself instead of falling into traps set by others or your environment. If you want to build a workout habit, buy a nice fitness tracker first. That cage will keep reminding you need to exercise to make this tracker useful. If you want to read more, put a nice reading lamp by your bed. Let that light be your cage, pushing you to pick up a book every night. This way of proactively setting positive bird cages is basically using the principle of cognitive consistency to turn a psychological effect into motivation for self-improvement. From the brass cage in that Manhattan apartment to IKEA's scene displays to Silicon Valley's offices, the birdcage effect always circles one core: humans' desire for consistency. It can make us buy things we don't need without noticing, but it can also push us to build good habits. It can be a tool for businesses to make money, but also a glue for friendships. A truly rational approach to life isn't about rejecting all bird cages, it's about learning to tell the difference. Which ones are passive cages forced on you that drain your energy, and which ones are active cages that help you grow. When you can clearly control the relationship between the cage and the bird, you'll find your own balance and freedom in a world full of choices. Subscribe to my channel for more psychology knowledge every day.